Hello everyone, this is Vishali and you are watching Power Electronics and Application series. In this session, we are going to talk about the voltage control of inverters with PWM technique. So we will discuss voltage control of a single phase inverters first, then the extended control of AC voltage, internal control of inverter, series inverter control, pulse width modulation control, PWM inverters, and finally the voltage control of three-phase inverters. In many industrial applications, it is often required to vary the output voltage of inverter due to the following reasons. The first one is to compensate for the variation in the input voltage, then to compensate for the regulation of inverters, and to supply some special loads which need variation of a voltage with frequency, that is an induction motor. So there are three methods to control the voltage of a single phase inverter. The first one is external control of a AC output voltage. The second one is external control of a DC input voltage. And the third one is internal control of inverter. The AC voltage controller is inserted between the output terminals of an inverter and the load terminals in external control of AC output voltage. Through the firing angle, the voltage input to the AC load is regulated. This method gives rise to higher harmonic content in output voltage. When the output voltage from AC voltage controller is at low level, they are rarely employed except for low power applications. So this is a block diagram for external control of AC output voltage. So here inverter is used and the input side constant DC voltage is given. This is a AC voltage controller which gives the controlled AC voltage to the AC load. So there are four configurations. First one is through a fully controlled rectifier. Second is through a uncontrolled rectifier and a chopper. The third one through AC voltage controller and uncontrolled rectifier, and the fourth one DC voltage input to the inverter is controlled by means of a chopper. Now talking about advantages, as the inverter output voltage is controlled through the adjustment of DC input voltage to the inverter, the output voltage waveform and its harmonic contents are not affected. If the DC input to the inverter is varied to compensate for the source voltage fluctuations, this inverter can be designed for a very limited voltage range. Such an inverter is most efficient both in terms of power loss as well as component utilization. Whereas the disadvantages of external control of DC input voltages are: for reducing the ripple content of DC voltage input to the inverter, a filter circuit is required in all types of schemes. The filter circuit increases the cost, weight and size. At the same time, it reduces efficiency and makes the transient response sluggish. The number of power converters used for the control of inverter output voltage varies from 2 to 3. More the power handling converter stages result in the more losses, and it reduces the efficiency of entire scheme. The commutating capacitor voltage decreases as the DC input voltage is reduced. This has the effect of reducing the circuit turn-off time for the SCR for constant load current. Therefore, the large variation of output voltage for a constant load current control the DC input voltage, which is not desirable. Now talking about the internal control of inverter, which is adjusted by exercising a control within the inverter itself, there are two types: series inverter control and pulse width modulation control. We will see the first one is series inverter control. It uses two or more inverters in the series. The voltage of two inverters can be summed up with the help of transformer to obtain the adjustable output voltage. Here it is shown. The two inverters are used, two transformers are used. At input side the DC voltage is given, and this is the phasor diagram for voltages. So the inverter output is fed to the two transformers whose secondaries are connected in series. So these secondaries of these two transformers are connected in series, and the phasor sum of two voltages EL1 and EL2 gives the resultant EL. Here it is shown. The angle between EL1 and EL2 is denoted by phi. The voltage EL is given by this expression: EL1 square plus EL2 square plus 2 EL1 EL2 cos theta whole bracket raised to 1 by 2. It is essential that the frequency of output voltage EL1 and EL2 from the two inverter should be same. When this theta is 0, or in diagram we have shown it as a phi is 0, then EL will be equal to EL1 plus EL2. When this theta is pi, then EL will be 0 in case of if EL1 and EL2 are equal. The angle theta between EL1 and EL2 can be varied by the firing angle control of two inverters. The series connection of inverter is called as a multiple inverter control, which does not augment the harmonic content even at a low output voltage levels. Now talking about the pulse width modulation control, this is the most efficient method for controlling the output voltage, and in this the fixed DC input voltage is supplied to the inverter. The controlled AC output voltage is obtained by adjusting the on-off period of the inverter devices. So PWM control techniques further divided into three parts: SPWM, MPWM and Sine PWM. Single pulse width modulation, multiple pulse width modulation and sinusoidal pulse width modulation. So advantages of PWM techniques are the output voltage control can be obtained without any additional components. The lower order harmonics can be eliminated and minimized along with its output voltage control. Filtering requirements are minimized in PWM technique as a higher order harmonics can be filtered easily. And disadvantages are the SCR used in this method have a very low turn on and turn off times, and this pulse width modulation techniques are very expensive in the practical view. Then why these PWM inverters are needed? As the square wave inverter suffers following major drawbacks, the output voltage of the inverter cannot be controlled for a fixed source voltage. To achieve the voltage control, the inverter must be fed either from a controlled AC-DC or DC-DC converter. The output voltage contains appreciable harmonics, that is a low frequency range, and the THD, that is a total harmonic distortion, in case of square wave inverters are very high. So to overcome these drawbacks, there is a need of PWM inverters. So to achieve the voltage control within the inverter and to reduce the harmonic contents in the output voltage, width of output pulses are modulated. To achieve the voltage control, these PWM inverters are used. So this PWM inverter allows the variation of output voltage within the inverter by varying the gain of the inverter. This allows the input DC voltage to be fixed amplitude. The variation of output frequency achieved either by varying the number of pulses per half cycle of the output or by varying the period of each half cycle with the fixed number of pulses in each half cycle. The simultaneous variation of output voltage and frequency is also possible. So the V by F ratio can be kept constant, and this feature is required in induction motor drives. The control of harmonics at the output of the inverter can be allowed by these PWM inverters. Now we will see the PWM half bridge inverter. With the half bridge inverter, an output voltage of a value 0 is not possible. The output voltage can be only positive or negative. Therefore, the output voltage is allowed to reverse instead of being 0. So this is a waveform for the PWM half bridge inverter, and it can control the output voltage by controlling the width shown over here, which is a 2 delta. The sinusoidal PWM is commonly used with the half bridge inverters. Here it is shown. A rectified sinusoidal reference signal is compared with the triangular carrier wave. We can see here the triangular wave, which is represented by EC, and the rectified sinusoidal signal is ER. For the time during which the reference signal is higher than the carrier wave, the switches are operated to produce a positive going pulse, whereas the negative going pulses are produced when the reference signal is lower than the carrier wave. So ER is greater than EC, then S1 is on and the voltage E0 will be plus ADC. If the ER is less than EC, then S2 will be on and E0 will be minus EDC. A three-phase inverter may be considered as a three single-phase inverters, and the output of each single-phase inverter is shifted by 120 degree. The most commonly used voltage control techniques for three-phase inverters are: first, sinusoidal PWM, the second is third harmonic PWM, next is 60 degree PWM, and space vector modulation. So in this video we are going to learn about these three PWM techniques. The first one is sinusoidal PWM. This is the waveform for the generation of gating signals with the sinusoidal PWM. The three sinusoidal reference waves VRA, VRB and VRC each shifted by 120 degree. Here we can see VRA, RB and VRC. So a carrier wave is compared with the reference signal corresponding to a phase to generate the gating signal for that phase. So this triangular wave is nothing but the carrier wave which is compared with the VRA, RB and RC. The comparing carrier signal VCR with the reference phases produces G1, G3 and G5 respectively. So here in B we can see that G1, G3 and G5, the operation of switches Q1 to Q6 is determined by the comparing modulating or the reference signal sine waves with the triangular carrier waves. So when the VRA is greater than VCR, the upper switch Q1 is in the inverter which is turned on. The lower switch Q4 operates in the complementary manner and thus it is switched off. Thus the gate signal G2, G4 and G6 having even suffix, these are the complements of odd suffix, that is G1, G3 and G5 respectively. The phase voltages for the line A and B are VAN which is equal to Vs into G1 and VBN which is equal to Vs into G3 shown over here in C. The output voltage is generated by eliminating the condition that two switching devices in the same arm cannot conduct at the same time. The fundamental component of line-to-line voltage VAB is denoted by VAB1 and which is shown in the diagram D. Now talking about the 60 degree PWM, the idea behind 60 degree PWM is the flat top. Here you can see the waveform from 60 degree, 120 degree, 240 degree and 300 degree. The power devices are held on for a third of the cycle when at full voltages and have a reduced switching losses. All the triple harmonics, 3rd, 9th, 15th, etc. are absent in the three-phase voltages. The 60 degree PWM creates a larger fundamental, that is a 2 by root 3. It utilizes more of the available DC voltage than the sinusoidal PWM does. The output waveform can be approximated by the fundamental and first few terms are shown in this diagram. Now the third, that is a third harmonic PWM, the modulating or a reference signal is generated by injecting the selected harmonics to the sine wave. Thus the reference AC waveform in the third harmonic PWM is not sinusoidal. It consists of a both fundamental component and a third harmonic component. As a result, the peak-to-peak amplitude of a resulting reference function does not exceed the DC supply voltage Vs. But the fundamental component is higher than the available supply Vs. The presence of an exactly same third harmonic component in each phase results in the effective cancellation of third harmonic component in the neutral. The line to neutral voltage VAN, BN and CN are sinusoidal with the peak amplitude Vp is equal to Vs by root 3. This peak amplitude is approximately 15.5% higher in amplitude than that achieved by the sinusoidal PWM. Thus, the third harmonic PWM provides better utilization of DC supply voltage than the sinusoidal PWM does. So this is all about the how voltage control is achieved with PWM technique in case of single phase as well as three phase inverters. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe and happy e-learning.